Okay. Yeah, cool. We're live. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining me this afternoon for some history. We're going to get started. As always, we're going to leave a little bit of time here just to let people get a chance to join us. We'll be starting in about 3 minutes or so. So yeah, stick around for that. And if you're watching after the fact, the recording, not live, feel free just to skip ahead a couple minutes so that we, don't need to sit through this. But for those of you who are joining us live, thank you. Always good to have an audience. And I think it'll be a fun show today. We're doing some interesting stories about some interesting images. Okay. Let's see. Well, while we're waiting, never hurts to thank our sponsor. Thanks to Yankee Bookstore for their support of the Marathon County Historical Siting, specifically the History Chats program. Well, I guess that light didn't work. Okay. Sorry about that. And also, of course, all of our members that make it possible for us to do this. So, yeah. I'm just going to see if I can fix that. Okay. Let's see if that works. I know you can't see anything of what's happening right now, but I have a little light that I'm trying to see if I can get to stick. It's not sticking, so I might have to do without it. Oh well. Yeah, it's 12:30. Why don't we go ahead and get started here? Hello. Yeah, so as I said, I'm gonna get started. This week, we are starting off a month long of our favorite pictures, which is the theme for this month in July. Kind of the idea behind this is it's a fun opportunity to highlight some interesting images that we don't often get a chance to talk about. Some of these images, you may have seen before. We might have used in different programs. But a lot of them not so much because, like a lot of the stuff in our collections and our archives and, photo or otherwise, we have a lot. And sometimes they work great for an exhibit or a program, and sometimes they don't really fit into that. But that doesn't mean that there aren't some interesting stuff that you can find there. So this is sort of an opportunity to pull out some favorite pictures and highlight them, partially because of the cool stories, like I just said, but also sometimes, just like talking about them. So that's the idea for this month. More on what's coming up for the month towards the end of the program. But for now, today, we're going to jump in. We're going to be talking about starting with staff favorites. So I went around and I asked all of my coworkers here at the Historical Society, if you just watch these programs, you may not know there's quite a few of us that help out in various capacities here. So I thought it would be kind of fun to highlight some favorite pictures of people you don't see on this program. So I did that, and it's interesting because we all picked kind of different things. I will say right off the bat, I didn't use all of my coworkers' pictures. Sorry if you're watching this and you didn't get picked. No offense. These are the 4 that kind of worked really well. And I will say that everybody gave me several images. Nobody said this is my favorite and no other picture. I think everybody, it's hard to choose, right? There's a lot of really cool pictures that we have. So, but these are the 4 that that they gave me that I decided to go with. We're gonna start with the one that was suggested by Janet Klutermann, who is our administrative director. She was our office administrator in various capacities. Her job is kind of changing right now. For a long time, she was the person, until we opened up again here. Before COVID, for many years, she was the person that if you rang the phone during business hours or you came in the building, Janet would be the person at the reception desk that would answer everything. And so I mentioned that because her favorite picture, just a little snippet here, kind of speaks to that experience. I think, like many of us, I mean, whenever you're at the front desk, so our building has sort of the main entrance on the side of the building, but the museum is kind of built on the back of the original house. And that original house opens up to McIntyre Street, and that's kind of the street entrance, the front entrance. And when people come in that front door, this is what they see. So it's not super clear. I mean, if you read the signs, but not everybody reads the signs right away. And so, often, right down this hallway on the right here, that takes you to the main entrance. So you can kind of sit at the reception desk and see people do this thing where they'll come in the door and they'll, take in the room and the stairs and the stained glass window up there. And then they'll, do something like this where they kind of just look around. Okay, what's over here? Oh, looks like that's a room over here. Let's see, do we go over? Oh, it's a dining room. And then they kind of eventually, most people seem to grab this image here, this frame picture, which is what Janet's favorite picture that she picked was. Kind of a long way to get there, but I think it's kind of important because for some people, when they come in her front door, this might be the first thing they see. And so this is the actual image here. And it really does show, it's the pinery, what it was like before everything got cut down. And as you kind of take it in, you see at the bottom, oh, there's a little person, which really puts it in perspective. This is what it looks like as a whole. Oh, nope, there's a hole here. Oh, there we go. So this is the full image. This is the scanned, smaller version of it, obviously, but the plaque on it says that it's Wisconsin Virgin Timber, 1865, giant white pines of Marathon County. So yeah, it's a cool image, right? Shows that scale, and I think that was what Janet, when I asked her, specifically what appeals to this image, it is that scale. Again, my office is kind of right off that main entrance there, or front entrance. And I often hear a sort of version of the story of this conversation when people come in and they see this, and they often, will bring up, for example, the redwoods in California as sort of a similar comparison, and it's apt, right? We can drive a car through. It's kind of similar in terms of the size of this. I will say another conversation that we sometimes get, because there's a question then becomes, where is this? And I've seen a lot of people, or heard a lot of people say, with maybe misplaced confidence, oh, that's Marathon Park. And Marathon Park does have some old trees. I can tell you categorically it's not Marathon Park. In 1865, Marathon Park was clear cut. 2 years later, it gets purchased and turned into the fairgrounds, but it was clear cut. So not virgin timber here for sure. It also adds part of the thing here, and a fun anecdote that I like to throw in sometimes when I catch people and tell them about this. Technically, so this is a map of Wisconsin in 1855, so about 10 years earlier than this picture was taken. And you can see how Marathon County stretches all the way to Michigan. That's because there's very few people living here. So until there are more people that live there, they don't cut off and create new counties. And the current border with Lincoln County doesn't get really established until about 1872. So in 1865, when this picture was taken, technically, who knows whether this caption was originally taken there or if it's, it is actually in Marathon County, but technically it could be anywhere in here. Which is also kind of a fun part of the story too, right? There's that mystery. Yeah. And actually that's kind of consistent with a lot of the images that stick in our minds. Another great example is the one that was chosen by Anna Chilsen-Straub. So Anna is our curator of education. So she does a lot of the coordinating for the Little Red Schoolhouse and kids programs, stuff like that. She's also a resident of Marathon City, which I mentioned because her and her husband Joe are involved in the Heritage Center there, and she picked a picture, this one, which actually has a connection to Marathon City. And so in putting together stuff both here at the museum in Wausau and for the Heritage Museum, this image stuck in her mind as a cool one. And it is a cool one. This is a postcard from around 1910 or so, give or take. It's a James Colby postcard. Actually, here, interestingly enough, you can see that he labeled it a photograph postal, which is just a fun phrase. I will definitely have to steal at some point, or maybe not. Yeah, so this is another question of like, what's going on here? Like, clearly these kids are playing, or they're it's very evocative in the way they're dressed. At this point in time, it would not be above photographers to do a thing, the thing where they dress up kids to get, because cute kids will sell postcards. So there were people that probably would have been, doing this. But Ann and I were thinking, I grabbed it and was confirming that it was, and we were discussing, like, is this posed? Is this staged? To what extent is this staged? I mean, clearly they're staged, right? They're standing in a line, they're looking at the camera mostly, but we don't think that Colby went about actually going, all right, you hold on to this hoe, and you have this gun, and you hold the dog here, and everybody look, you wear this hat. He didn't dress. I don't think he would address them and give them the stuff. This was them out and about, and he happened to be passing by or whatever, and decided to say, hey, let's take a picture. This is definitely one that I don't know very much about, the specifics of this, but that's also part of the appeal sometimes. Sometimes historical images are evocative and interesting because we don't really understand what's going on, or we know a little bit, but there's a mystery there, which is kind of cool to see too. Sometimes it's the opposite though. Sometimes it's, well, let's go to Linda Forbess's pick. She's our curator of textiles, and she picked this image. Which is the from this image. So this is an interesting one. And again, Linda specifically made a point of saying this is not her end all favorite, but it is up there. It's one of them, and certainly in the category of things that she definitely looks for in a good image. And this was actually kind of new. This was donated in 2019, and it's a watercolor, I think, of a little girl, and it's signed A.E. Lyon, 1933. Now, from the donation, we know that there was the Lyon family, and the A.E. has to then have been Alice Esther Lyon. And this is a picture from a scrapbook in that same donation showing her. So this is her in 1933, according to the thing. So the same year that she painted this, which does provide a little bit of mystery, because she's married and she wouldn't have used the name Lyon because that's her maiden name. In 1930, well, very end of 1930 here, she married Raymond Beach. So at this point in time, and this picture's taken, technically, she wouldn't have been Lyon, or she wouldn't be A.E. Lyon as her name. I don't know if maybe this is an attempt to, just a pen name she used when she was doing art. She was definitely the artist in the family, very, very, well, one of the artists in the family, but certainly I don't doubt that this is actually her that did do this. But there's a little question of like, why didn't she use her her married name that people would know her by? But at any rate, what's interesting is you might look at this and go, oh, it's her daughter or something like that. But actually, this is her, and this adds another question. It may be just explanation. Maybe A.E. Lyon here was added as a descriptor, because this is actually her. This is an image, a painting that was done based off of this photograph taken around 1906 of Alice when she was a baby. And you can see it would have been framed in an oval frame. Yeah, so you can see the resemblance. And so maybe she was saying this is who this was, and then added the 33 as an afterthought. Who knows? But it is a cool picture. This, by the way, is actually Alice when she was a baby with her mother Fanny. Yeah, cute. So why does Linda like this picture? Well, partially Linda is a pretty great artist herself, so I think there's something to the artistry on it. But also this image, and actually, hold on, let me. It's because of the bonnet, right? Here we go. So we have in our collection, as part of the donation, the actual bonnet. I don't know if you can see it very easily, but it's faded. It's not as bright blue as it once was, and it's also very flat. But you can see the bow. It's actually mirrored on my screen, so it is. Does actually kind of line up. Actually, I guess this does line up. Never mind. Maybe it's not mirrored, but yeah. So that's pretty cool. And so for Linda, one of the reasons that this is her favorite is because it's a great representation of the actual object. All right. Finally, we're going to go to Kathy Volkmann, also back in collections. She's our curator of artifacts, and she picked this, which is just a snippet like all of them. If you know Kathy from these programs, last October, she did a presentation for History Speaks, her larger program, on one of her areas of expertise, which is death and mourning customs. She is our sort of go-to person. A question about a cemetery or funeral home or that sort of thing, she's very knowledgeable about that. And so naturally, she picked a picture of a cemetery, although this is a very interesting picture of a cemetery. This is Pine Grove in 1911. So this is Grand Avenue. Interestingly, so this gatehouse here, and offices of Pine Grove, it's on that corner, sort of the northwest corner, I guess. Usually you see it from the other side because you can see the buildings here. That's Grand Avenue along that way. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting look. A couple things that she thought that this is really interesting for her, and I agree. So I guess I should explain. This isn't just a gathering. This is a memorial gathering. It's by the Fraternal Order of the Eagles, which is here. Now, this particular picture is actually just a segment of a larger panoramic photograph. So I was not able to track down the original to scan it and get a good quality, but I do actually have some other examples because the Eagles this is a regular thing that they did. So this is 1914, this is 1918. There's a couple different varieties. And actually, I'm going to bring up, just to give you an example here, we're going to do this. Here we go. So this is 1914. It's very similar, except you can see, there's some development here. You can see the power lines going along the back here. So that's Grand Avenue. The whole picture, by the way, the way that they took these, they didn't go along on a big line. Everybody was in a big arc around the camera and on a swivel, and they just kind of pivoted. So this kind of gives you a little skewed view of if you're looking at the background. It's actually kind of a round, look. But this is a lot of room here. And that's one of the things that Linda or that Kathy thought was very interesting is that it's not what you typically see. Again, I'll bring back to this one here. This ground here, the grass is very patchy. It's not mowed. It's not manicured in the way that cemeteries typically are these days, which speaks to sort of a different time. And the other thing is there's no graves here. There's no headstones, right? If we look at here, this is a lot of room. This is a big space that all these people are standing on. And again, it just speaks to the earliness of this. Yeah. But also, so I should also mention what's going on here. This is not a Memorial Day in the same sense of like the holiday. That had been already in place. That typically has more of a connotation for specifically service veterans, people who served in the military. Although not, uniformly necessarily, but that's kind of the goal of that, I think, right? Well, anyway, this is a little different. This is actually the Eagles had a memorial service. It didn't always coincide. It was usually around the same time of year, but they'd have a big parade that would leave downtown Wausau, then they would head down to Grand Avenue and then have a ceremony here. So all of these guys that you see that are wearing ribbons and white gloves, those are members of the Eagles. And this ceremony, again, would be typically dedicated to the fallen, the dead members of the Eagles Club. At this point in like let's see, I had it written down. I think there were 14 dead. And the Eagles were rather new. They got started in the early 20th century, around the turn of the century. So by like 1911, there were 14 members, and then as time went on, there were more. But yeah, it wasn't just for them, but that was kind of the main idea. To sort of recognize those members of their eyrie, which is what you called the Club of the Eagles, which is kind of a fun thing, that had passed. So they had all these guys that were here and their families. This is, by the way, 1914. They had their drill team. This is the first appearance at this ceremony here of their drill team. And the Columbia Band. So the Columbia Band, this guy here, B.F. Schultz, Barney, he was one of the charter members of the Eagles. And so his band was often, playing their events. Actually, if we look at the 1918 version here, this is just a fun music fact that I've come across. By this point, around 1917, they disbanded the Columbia Band and they reformed it as the Eagles Band. And you can kind of see here where it says Eagles Band, the Airy number and all that. It only lasted for a little while, and then it became the infantry, the 128th Infantry Band. But anyway. And then finally, you have the stage here where there's some flower girls from the community. Yeah. And even though this is only a part of that larger picture that I don't have, it's kind of an insight. And again, it's a fun opportunity to tell you about the logistics of making a panoramic photograph at this point. You don't often get a chance to talk about that. So, and a cool picture, certainly of a local, landmark that is a little different than what it is today. So that's the 4 photographs and the 4 staff. Thank you to them for and to all of the other staff here who suggested images. I didn't get time to put in together and put in here, but yeah. Oh, gotta get through this. So that means so what's coming up next then? We got 6 photographs here. Now we've gone through 4. And now we're going to then next week and the following week, Gary and I are each going to take a week. So we're going to do my favorite photograph, my favorite picture next week on July 8th. I'm not going to tell you very much more about it, except it involves a fair in 1932. Great picture. And then also Gary, I think Gary ended up having to narrow it down to 2. So he's going to be talking about 2 of his favorite images. I've seen them. They're great images. Lots of cool stuff with that. And that's going to be the following week on the 15th. Then we have, so for the 4th week, this is where you come in. I don't know if everybody has a favorite picture. Maybe it's just a little biased as an archivist at a historical society like this. I don't know. Do people have favorite historical images of Marathon County? Well, if you do, I want to know about them. So on July 22nd, what we're going to do is we're going to have another program, and we're just going to do a couple different images of suggested by you, our viewers and public. So if you have an image, please feel free. You can link it in. You can respond to this video, or we'll put some stuff on social media or email us. Yeah. Let's see here. Did I do the other thing? I did. Oh, and there'd be more information. Oh, whoops. More information on that as we go. But yeah, keep in mind, maybe you do, maybe you don't. But it'd be cool to see, and certainly fun to share this experience of finding an image that you enjoy. And then finally, we actually have 5 Thursdays here in July. So we're going to be talking to Bob Becker. Bob, this is him in 1972. Fun picture here. Bob has been probably one of the most prolific photographers in the history of the county. And he's still around, and after he retired a couple years ago, and actually gave us a good number of the photographs from the collection for Becker Communications. He's been helping us go through them and all sorts of stuff. Definitely knows his, it's funny. I can grab a random picture and go, hey, tell me about this. And he'll have a story. He'll remember the context or who it is. Maybe not always, but a lot of the time. So he's got some great stories, and we're going to invite him to sit down and share some of his favorite images that he's taken as well, which will, again, be a fun opportunity to talk to somebody too. So that's the plan. Yeah. Oh, and I guess while I'm plugging things, I should probably mention, not this weekend, but the weekend after that, our History Speaks lecture series returns. We took June off, but July we're coming back. And Rick Lohr, here he is. He's going to be talking about his time in Poland. He spent some time in Poland in 2019. And so he's going to kind of give a little, from the historical perspective of the cities, through his travel there, the experiences of the history of Poland, which little something a little different from sometimes what we do, but it's also going to be a yeah, I think it'll be fun too. So if you're interested in that, that'll be at 2 o'clock on Saturday. Usually we've been doing the last Saturday of the month, but we're doing it a little earlier this month. So that'll be on the 10th. So not this weekend, but the next weekend on Saturday. Yeah. So that's what I have. I guess if you have any questions, I'll check the chat here. I'll put up that image here. See if anybody's still watching. Let's see here. It looks like there were some questions. Okay. Not questions. Oh, cool. Yeah, June, your husband's great grandpa was the drum player in the photo. One of these here. That's right. I remember you saying that. Awesome. Okay. Well, that's all right. I think we're probably getting to the end. As always, thanks so much for watching. Again, we'll be back next week with my favorite image. I'm a little biased, but I think it's going to be a good one. Excited to share that with you. Yeah, have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.